Stop for just one moment, because what you are about to hear may completely change the way you see love, heartbreak, and the person you call your soulmate. What if I told you that your soulmate is letting go of the love you share? Not because they never loved you, not because destiny has failed you, but because something far deeper is unfolding beneath the surface. What if the distance that keeps you awake at night is not the end of your story, but the beginning of the most important chapter of your life?
Most people spend years chasing answers, blaming themselves, or desperately trying to hold on to someone who seems to be slipping away. They believe that if love is real, it should never change. But what if that belief is the very thing keeping them trapped in pain? The truth is, the greatest heartbreaks often hide the greatest awakenings. Sometimes the person who walks away becomes the mirror that reveals everything you were meant to discover about yourself. Every unanswered message, every moment of silence, every tear, and every sleepless night carries a lesson that most people never stop long enough to understand. So before you convince yourself that you have lost the love of your life,
Before you allow fear to write the ending of your story, stay with me until the very end. Because what you are about to discover may not only change the way you see your soulmate, it may forever change the way you see yourself. The most painful moments in love rarely begin when two people stop speaking. They begin much earlier, in those quiet moments when one heart senses that something invisible has shifted. Perhaps the conversations become shorter. The warmth once felt in every glance slowly fades into a heavy distance. Your instinct tells you that the connection is slipping away, yet your mind desperately searches for explanations that make the discomfort disappear.
this emotional detachment can feel like the loss of a vital part of yourself,
Especially when you truly believe this person was your soulmate. Yet beneath that pain lies a hidden invitation that few people ever recognize. Emotional distance is often less about punishment and much more about awakening. When someone begins letting go of the love you share, your immediate reaction is usually fear. Fear whispers that you are no longer enough, that you have failed, or that something precious has been stolen from you forever.
but fear has a remarkable ability to distort reality.
It magnifies loss while hiding opportunity. The discomfort you experience is not simply caused by another person's changing emotions. It is also revealing everything within you that has been waiting to be acknowledged for years. Love has a mysterious way of exposing what everyday life keeps hidden. While everything feels secure, many emotional wounds remain buried beneath routines, distractions, and comforting habits. The simple possibility of losing someone suddenly tears away those protective layers.
Old fears of rejection, abandonment, loneliness, and unworthiness emerge with surprising intensity.
It feels as though the relationship created these wounds, when in truth, it merely uncovered what had already been living quietly beneath the surface. This is why emotional detachment can become one of the greatest catalysts for personal transformation. The pain forces you to ask questions you would never have considered while everything seemed perfect.
Why does this loss feel like the end of your identity?
Why does another person's choice seem to determine your sense of worth? Why does silence create so much panic within your own mind? These questions are uncomfortable, but they guide you toward a deeper understanding of yourself. Many people respond by chasing harder, hoping that more effort will restore what is fading. Yet, constant pursuit often becomes an attempt to escape inner pain rather than an expression of genuine love. Instead of turning inward, they focus entirely on changing another person's mind. In doing so, they unknowingly postpone the very healing their soul is asking them to begin.
Real transformation starts when you stop treating emotional pain as an enemy and begin seeing it as a messenger.
Every difficult emotion carries valuable information. Jealousy may reveal insecurity. Desperation may uncover dependence. Anger may conceal grief. Loneliness may expose the relationship you have neglected with yourself. None of these discoveries are comfortable, but each one offers an opportunity to become stronger, wiser, and more emotionally grounded.
Ironically, the moment someone appears to be letting go may become the very moment you begin finding yourself.
As you release the desperate need to control another person's heart, you gradually reconnect with your own. Confidence grows from self-understanding rather than reassurance. Peace begins replacing panic. Whether your paths eventually reunite or permanently separate becomes less important than the person you are becoming.
In that transformation, you discover that the deepest purpose of love was never only to keep two people together.
It was also to awaken the hidden strength that could only emerge when everything familiar seemed to be slipping away. One of the greatest misunderstandings about love is the belief that holding on tightly is proof of how deeply you care. Many people spend years believing that if they cannot stop thinking about someone, if they fear losing them every day, or if they feel incomplete without that person's presence, then what they are experiencing must be true love.
Yet, these intense emotions often arise from attachment rather than love itself.
Although they can feel almost identical in the beginning, they lead the heart in completely different directions. Attachment is driven by fear. It fears abandonment, rejection, loneliness, and uncertainty. It constantly asks, will they stay? Do they still love me? What if they find someone else? These questions become endless because attachment seeks security from another person instead of finding stability within.
The relationship slowly transforms into an emotional lifeline where happiness depends almost entirely on someone else's choices, moods, and attention. When that attention begins to fade, panic quickly replaces peace.
Love, however, grows from a completely different place. It does not seek to imprison another soul or demand constant reassurance. Genuine love appreciates another person's existence without trying to control every decision they make. It allows closeness while respecting individuality.
Instead of saying, "I cannot survive without you," it quietly says, "My life is richer because you are here, but my identity does not disappear if circumstances change."
This kind of love creates emotional freedom rather than emotional dependence. When your soulmate appears to be letting go of the love you share, attachment immediately interprets the situation as a personal failure. It begins creating painful stories inside the mind. Perhaps you were not attractive enough. Perhaps you said the wrong thing. Perhaps someone else has replaced you.
These assumptions grow stronger because attachment desperately searches for explanations that justify its fear. The mind becomes trapped in endless overthinking, replaying memories, analyzing conversations, and imagining different outcomes that can no longer be changed.
True love responds differently. While it certainly feels sadness and disappointment, it does not lose its dignity. It recognizes that another person's emotional journey cannot always be controlled or predicted.
Sometimes people grow in unexpected directions. Sometimes unresolved struggles pull them away.
Sometimes life itself creates distance that neither person intended. Love accepts these realities without surrendering its compassion or self-respect. This distinction becomes especially important during heartbreak. If you believe attachment is love, you may spend months or even years chasing someone who has already emotionally left the relationship.
Every rejection becomes another invitation to try harder. Every silence becomes another puzzle to solve.
In reality, the chase often deepens the wound because it reinforces the belief that your worth depends on winning someone back. Paradoxically, letting go of attachment does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop measuring your value by another person's ability to remain beside you. You begin separating your identity from the relationship.
You rediscover interests, dreams, friendships, and inner strength that existed long before this connection entered your life.
As emotional dependence weakens, genuine love becomes clearer because it is no longer clouded by fear. The greatest lesson hidden within a soulmate connection is that love reaches its highest form when it is freely chosen rather than desperately held.
The moment you release the need to possess another person's heart, you create space for something far more powerful than attachment.
A love rooted in respect, emotional maturity, and inner wholeness that remains authentic regardless of the outcome. Few experiences reveal your inner world as powerfully as a soulmate connection. At first, it seems as though the relationship is entirely about the other person, their words, their affection, their attention, or their absence. But as the connection deepens, something unexpected begins to happen.
You begin to realize that every feeling, every reaction, and every fear you experience is actually a reflection of your own internal state. When you depend on someone else to make you feel worthy, their absence feels like a destruction of your self-worth. When you look to another person for total security, their distance feels like absolute chaos. The soulmate does not cause these vulnerabilities. They simply highlight them so that you can heal them. Learning to stand firmly in your own energy is the ultimate purpose of this journey.
It is about understanding that your value was never tied to another person's presence in your life. You are complete on your own, and the love you seek from others must first be cultivated within your own heart. When you finally grasp this truth, the fear of loss loses its grip on you.
You realize that no matter who stays or who leaves, you will always have yourself.
You will always have your resilience, your capacity to love, and your power to build a fulfilling life. This realization brings an overwhelming sense of relief and peace. It allows you to love others without fear, to give without expecting a specific outcome, and to appreciate every moment without clinging to it.
Ultimately, whether your soulmate stays by your side or walks a different path,
the journey always leads back to you. It leads to the discovery of your own inner light, your own strength, and your own endless potential. Embrace the distance not as an ending, but as a sacred opportunity to return home to yourself, where true love has been waiting all along.
Emotions often emerge that feel far greater than the small everyday events that triggered them.
A delayed message from someone you care about creates overwhelming anxiety. A simple misunderstanding awakens a deep and sudden sadness inside your heart. The very possibility of losing the relationship feels like losing a core part of yourself. These strong emotional reactions suggest that the connection is touching deep places within you that existed long before the two of you ever met each other.
Every meaningful relationship acts like a clear mirror.
It reflects not only your bright strengths, but also the hidden parts of yourself you rarely acknowledge or think about. When everything is going well between two people, the mirror reflects your natural capacity for joy, trust, deep generosity, and hope. But when emotional distance appears or conflict arises, the reflection changes completely. Hidden fears, personal insecurities, and old emotional wounds begin to surface once again. What you see inside the relationship is often a gentle invitation to understand yourself more deeply, rather than simply judging the other person's actions.
Many people truly believe that their soulmate is causing all of their daily pain and confusion. While another person's choices can certainly hurt your feelings, the true intensity of that pain is often connected to older emotional patterns from your past.
If you constantly fear being abandoned by those you love, the relationship may simply be revealing an old wound that has quietly shaped your entire life for many years. If you feel that you must always earn love by sacrificing your own basic needs, the connection may be exposing a deep belief that your total worth depends on pleasing other people. If jealousy becomes completely overwhelming, it may point directly toward a lack of self-confidence that existed long before this specific relationship ever began.
This is the exact reason why soulmate connections often feel so deeply transformative for us.
They do not simply offer sweet companionship during quiet evenings. They uncover quiet truths that ordinary relationships may never reveal to you. The person standing before you becomes a clear reflection of your entire inner emotional landscape. Their warm presence illuminates what is healthy and strong within you, while their emotional distance exposes what still needs care and healing. This whole process can feel very uncomfortable because it directly challenges the clean image you have built of yourself over time. It asks you to look far beyond simple appearances and confront emotions you may have spent many years actively avoiding.
The common temptation in these moments is to focus entirely on changing the other person. You may firmly believe that if they just become more affectionate, more attentive, or more committed, all of your personal suffering will disappear completely. Yet, even if the relationship improves for a short period, unresolved inner wounds often remain hidden deep inside, simply waiting for another difficult moment to bring them right back to the surface. Lasting peace can never come from trying to control someone else's daily behavior. It grows naturally from understanding the strong emotions that their behavior awakens within your own heart. This simple realization changes the core purpose of the entire relationship.
Instead of asking yourself why they are doing this to you, you begin asking what this painful experience is revealing about your own inner world. That single shift in perspective transforms immediate pain into lasting self-discovery. You become genuinely curious about your feelings rather than being completely consumed by them. Instead of constantly resisting uncomfortable emotions, you learn to observe them with absolute honesty and patient care. Each personal fear becomes a helpful clue for your growth. Each quiet disappointment becomes an opportunity to recognize old beliefs that no longer serve your happiness.
Ironically, the soulmate you believed was meant only to love you
May also be the exact person who introduces you to the forgotten parts of yourself that you have never fully understood. Whether they choose to remain beside you for a lifetime or decide to walk down another path entirely, the mirror they held before your soul has already fulfilled a very profound purpose. It has shown you clearly that the greatest journey was never only toward another human heart, but toward a much deeper understanding of your own inner self. Real healing always begins with the simple courage to see yourself clearly and to embrace every single hidden part of your heart with total compassion instead of constant fear.
When someone slowly begins letting go of the love you share,
Your mind often reaches one quick and painful conclusion, that everything is over forever. Every unanswered message, every quiet moment, and every bit of emotional distance feels like undeniable proof that your shared story has reached its final end. The human heart naturally resists uncomfortable uncertainty, so it rushes to create a sense of absolute certainty, even if that certainty causes extreme pain. Yet, real life rarely unfolds in such simple or final ways. Emotional distance does not always mean that love has vanished entirely from the world. Sometimes it simply marks the quiet beginning of a major transformation that neither person fully understands while they are actively living through it.
people often imagine that real love should always move in a straight line, growing stronger and closer every single day without any interruption.
In reality, truly meaningful relationships move through natural seasons just like the earth. There are bright moments of deep closeness, temporary moments of confusion, long periods of personal growth, and times when both individuals must face deep struggles that cannot be solved while staying right next to each other. Just as nature has cold winters that quietly prepare the soil for future growth, relationships sometimes enter necessary seasons of silence that appear completely lifeless on the surface, even while something very important is changing underneath the ground.
One of the absolute greatest mistakes people make during times of emotional separation
Is believing they must immediately fix and repair every little detail. They chase quick answers, demand constant reassurance, or desperately try to recreate the original connection exactly as it once was in the past. But the relationship that existed before may no longer be the exact connection that either soul truly needs for their future. If old personal fears, unhealthy communication habits, or emotional dependence remain completely unchanged, restoring the past often means repeating the exact same painful cycle that created the distance in the first place.
Sometimes, two people must fully let go of who they used to be before they can ever discover who they are truly capable of becoming together.
This truth does not automatically guarantee that they will reunite in the end, but it does clearly reveal that emotional separation can serve a higher purpose beyond simple loss and sadness. Distance gives both individuals the quiet space to confront parts of themselves that constant closeness may have easily hidden away. One person may finally learn true personal independence after years of relying far too heavily on the relationship for validation. The other person may discover genuine emotional honesty after avoiding difficult conversations for way too long. Real personal growth often requires moments of total solitude, because simple silence has a remarkable way of exposing quiet truths that daily noise keeps buried.
This quiet period can feel incredibly unfair because personal transformation rarely provides immediate emotional rewards. There will naturally be hard days filled with heavy doubt, deep loneliness, and dozens of unanswered questions. You may wonder whether your soulmate has forgotten about you completely, or whether every single shared memory has lost its special meaning to them. Yet, not every quiet heart has completely stopped caring about you. Sometimes people pull away simply because they are overwhelmed by deep emotions they do not know how to express in words. Others step away because they clearly recognize that they cannot continue the relationship in its current unhealthy form. Their silence may simply reflect deep personal confusion rather than cold indifference. At the exact same time, it is vital not to confuse gentle hope with absolute certainty. Believing that every single separation guarantees a happy reunion can keep a person trapped in endless waiting and pause their life for years. True emotional maturity allows you to accept both possible outcomes with equal parts honesty and grace. The connection may eventually find its way back after both people have truly grown on their own, or it may remain a beautiful and meaningful chapter that simply prepared each person for a completely different future. The true value of the whole experience does not depend solely on whether the relationship is restored in the physical world. The deepest lesson hidden inside emotional distance is not learning how to hold on to someone at all costs,
But learning how to release your strict expectations without ever losing your natural capacity to love. When you finally stop trying to force the future into the exact shape you desire, you create wide-open room for life to unfold naturally. Whether your paths eventually cross again or continue on separate tracks, you will emerge from the experience with much greater wisdom, stronger emotional resilience, and a quiet heart that deeply understands a key truth. Love is never measured only by how long two people stay together, but by how profoundly the journey transforms the brave souls who shared it.
One of the greatest ongoing challenges that a soulmate connection presents
Is the constant temptation to search for your ultimate worth through another person's eyes. When love is flowing freely and easily between you both, it feels completely natural to believe that their direct affection confirms your personal value as a human being. Their warm messages instantly brighten your whole day, their focused attention makes you feel deeply seen, and their physical presence creates a strong sense of emotional security inside you. But when they begin pulling away or letting go of the special love you share, that exact same source of everyday comfort can suddenly become the direct source of your deepest personal insecurity.
You may quickly find yourself questioning almost everything about who you are as a person, firmly believing that if they no longer choose you every day,
then perhaps you were simply never good enough to begin with. Yet this deeply painful conclusion is entirely built upon a very dangerous misunderstanding. Your true value as a person has never once depended on another human being's temporary ability to recognize it. The big mistake lies in allowing someone else's personal choices to become the final ruler by which you measure your entire identity and self-worth.
When your personal happiness rises and falls with another person's daily attention,
You unknowingly hand them the total power to define how you feel about yourself at any given moment. Every delayed reply becomes an immediate reason to doubt your importance in the world. Every quiet moment of distance feels like undeniable evidence that something is fundamentally wrong with who you are inside. Over time, your entire emotional world becomes completely controlled by external circumstances that you cannot truly influence or control.
this difficult spot is the exact place where the meaningful journey toward true inner wholeness finally begins for you.
Instead of constantly asking how you can make them love you again, a completely different and far more important question slowly emerges from within your spirit. Who am I when no one else is actively validating me? That simple question can feel very uncomfortable at first because it completely removes every external source of quick reassurance. But sitting quietly with that question allows you to start rebuilding your life on a solid foundation of real self-love and internal peace that no temporary distance can ever take away from you.